First, to strengthen Iraq's sovereignty, the government of Iraq must ensure it has command and control of all security forces within its borders, to include the PMF. These forces must respond to Iraq's commander-in-chief and not to Iran. We are also concerned that these Iran-aligned groups within the PMF, including designated foreign terrorist organizations, engage in violent and destabilizing activities in Iraq. We continue to urge the Iraqi government to rein in these groups and hold them accountable for breaking Iraqi law. The President has no higher priority than the safety of U.S. personnel, and he has made it clear that the United States will defend itself, its personnel, and its interests.
Can I move to Russia, Ukraine?
I wish you wouldn't, but yes, of course.
Trump said today that territory was being discussed, so I just wanted to follow up on some comments that Witkoff made over the weekend about Crimea, Donbass, and regions annexed by Russia. He said that the question is, will the world acknowledge that those are Russian territories? Is it the administration's view that Russia has a legitimate claim to these regions?
What I can tell you, first of all, of course, is I'm not going to speculate. And once again, because of the approach of this administration, there are a lot of diplomatic talks going on. There's a lot of summits happening. There's a lot of conversations happening, the supermajority of which I cannot comment on to you about those kinds of discussions or the commentary from which they may or may not have been gleaned from. What we do know, and I would refer back to the nature of what we're trying to do here, and what we've said is first and foremost in our mind. There's one thing in front of us that everyone is doing, and that is to secure the peace of that region, of those two countries, which more even than the region, the entire world. And that's the singular thing that is being worked on right now in Saudi Arabia. It is the singular thing that the president has been focused on. It is what the secretary has been working on pretty much from day one, which is, what are we in, the 9th week at this point? And dramatic changes have already occurred. Fabulous changes have occurred because of the focus, and there's really no other way to do it. You've got to have a dynamic that you're going to convince people that they can embrace and agree to, and the only way to do that is to stay with a framework that doesn't change, doesn't morph, where there's not distractions that you led away from the focus on what it is we're trying to accomplish. So that's what we're dealing with in this regard. And I think just a reminder that until there is a ceasefire, a full ceasefire, that's when, as the President has noted, and certainly the Secretary, that until there's a ceasefire, that's when we can then discuss the differences in what proceeds after that when it comes to an enduring peace. Yes.
Thanks, Tammy.
Can
I switch to the Middle East, or did you?
Well, do we have any more Ukraine, Russia? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Tammy. Just to follow up on the question my colleague asked, I understand you don't want to comment on Witkoff's comments. Some of them, are reflecting Russian viewpoint. Ukrainians do appreciate this administration's effort to solve the problem, but they want to trust you. When they hear what we heard during the interview, how do you want to build that trust on the Ukrainian side?
Well, I think that this is why I urge people to look at the nature of what we're accomplishing here and what the end result is. It's not a TV show. This is people working to get to an end result that everyone agrees with. There's no one in the world who wants any of this to continue. There's the people involved, the innocent people on the ground, the world itself. We know all of this affects each one of us. Multiple countries are involved in one fashion or another, and this is about getting to an end point that the world has agreed upon and that all of us agree upon. And we can talk about other interviews or what someone might say, but the fact is, it's even when the secretary's been asked about whether he trusts Putin, the fact is, and I just go back to his point when asked about that, this isn't about trust or if, who you're dealing with and whether or not you like them or you don't, or what that dynamic is. The question is, what do you end with? Is it something that makes the difference in what everyone wants? Is it what we all agree on, and what is going to get us to that North Star of making sure that the slaughter stops. Again, we still deal with every day, even with this work. People that were alive yesterday are not alive today. People that are alive today are not going to be alive tomorrow. And the focus has to remain in that framework. And the only thing that brings us to that point are the conversations that are happening, the technical discussions now happening in Saudi Arabia, conversations between presidents, and maneuverings and negotiations and diplomatic conversations that get us to a point of peace. That is the only thing, when we think about the next day, that matters. And that takes us to that point.
Now, on that point, may I also get your comment, your reaction to attack the Sumy region this afternoon?
I'm sorry, to the what, sir?
Sumy region of Ukraine got attacked. They targeted residential buildings, hospitals. Over 90 people got injured. 17 of them are children. Any reaction to that, please?
All of us decry the impact. This is why we do the work we do on civilians. And it is why we continue to work for the ceasefire, and what the negotiations in Saudi are right now is to get that commitment and to get that done. So that's why we're doing what we do, because of the results like that in any war are problematic and heartbreaking, and we want to stop and reverse. So that's the point of why we're doing what we're doing right now. Yes?
My first question is, on which level the European Union will be involved in the talk in Saudi Arabia, if they will be involved? And the second one, if you can give us some more glimpse of the talk, what can you, something that you can share with us, related to the ceasefire, the Black Sea, or the part of, are we talking about part of Ukraine that's going to be given to Russia, or other left to Kiev? Can you give us a little more?
Well, I'd already mentioned before, in being asked about
please,
comments on issues after a ceasefire. There is one thing we're working on, that's a ceasefire. I have nothing to say about what comes after a ceasefire, which has to be manifested in full. And we are close to that. This is what's fascinating. We've never been closer, a breath away from a full ceasefire. And then, full stop, then a discussion about an enduring peace. It's doable. Humanity has done it in the past. We can do it again, but this is the time where there has to be new ideas, where this dynamic has to stop. What I can tell you in general, you mentioned the Black Sea, is we do have negotiating teams, of course. They're meeting in Saudi Arabia to discuss broadening the ceasefire to the Black Sea on the way to the full ceasefire, which is always the prize. That's the prize right now. There's no other prize. To fully restore peaceful commercial activity. The Black Sea, of course, is key to that. We are continuing contact with both Russia and Ukraine. We're committed to continuing our work to bridge that gap. As the Secretary said repeatedly, both sides will have to make compromises as we are working in this ceasefire range. President Zelensky has agreed on a partial ceasefire against energy infrastructure and has reiterated his willingness to adopt a full ceasefire. There's certainly the aspect of possibility of, these situations, these technical negotiations are going on now, that we hope to see where the parties have landed. And our work is about coming to an agreement about how we're going to make this happen. But the Black Sea is now directly discussed, and let's hope we have some success here.